Hello, one and all, and welcome to Absolute Bedlam Podcast. Absolute Bedlam.
Hello, and welcome to another episode, I suppose, of Absolute Bedlam Podcast. Right, so it's the first one of the year. Yeah, I've decided to get Dave back on for the third time, I think. I think I had you on early doors. Then we did a sort of multi-guest Christmas special, maybe at the end of 2022.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we speak to each other nearly every day, if not every other day, on WhatsApp. And trying to pin you down could be a bit of a nightmare, mate, but we've made it happen. So welcome aboard.
Yeah. It's cheers, mate. It's life's, although I'm not actually working, life is pretty hectic. So it's it's one of them, isn't it? You do what you do.
Yeah. I've got a little intro for you, to be fair.
Oh
So
my
let's do
God.
that. So we've got YouTuber, house renovator, Ford Ranger driver, popping candy expert,
Oh fucking hell.
Mr. Blue Van Man himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, life is a bit mental, but we try to make things work and we try to sort of fit everything around our schedule. So I've got some questions for Dave that I'm just going to ask him. And the main bit
That
of this
would help.
podcast,
That
yeah,
would
absolutely.
help for a podcast, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it would. I'm just gonna
Just
sign language
sit here
it.
looking at each other.
Yeah, just staring at each other. The main thing that we're going to talk about in this episode is going to be a bit of a debate one. It's going to be saving up for a house now in 2025 versus when Dave did it. We're going to talk about pros and cons of each side and how potentially the world has gotten a little bit more complicated and obviously the population's gone up and all that sort of stuff. There's lots of factors, but we're going to try and keep that to a sort of 30-minute discussion because there's quite a lot to talk about and a lot of it can get quite socio political and economical. And
Political.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to try and sort of preface that. Some people that listen to this regularly might find that to be a bit mundane. So this might not be the episode for you. So
I'll tell you what, we'll make it the episode for them. We'll keep people interested.
We'll try.
If that's one thing I like to do out of my YouTube channel, I try and grip them. A bit like a teacher gets a pupil at school, not in a kiddie fiddly way, but try to brainwash them.
Yeah. Nice. Fucking hell. Right.
Not like a Labour politician way.
Right. Okay. So first question. A bit of an open-ended one, so you can answer this as quickly or as long as you want. Do you realize, Dave, that your videos have a really positive, for the most part, effect on most people that watch them? One of my colleagues at my new job is a transgender person. She's called Haley, and she absolutely jumped up and down when she realized that I knew you. And I think sometimes, even though you fly off the handle...
So that shocked you then, didn't it? That shocked you.
Yeah, I think even though you have a tendency to fly off the handle with paper straws from McDonald's, I think overall, in my experience at least, as one individual, I do see your YouTube channel as a net positive. And I think sometimes where you post quite frequently, sometimes it feels like you're on a bit of a treadmill and you're not necessarily focused on the present moment. You're focused on what can I talk about next and what does B&M have at the shop that I can review and when's the next McDonald's renew cycle going to happen. And I just kind of want you to think about that, really. And I wanted to know what you thought about that because it's very easy to get stuck in this hamster wheel that is YouTube, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, YouTube's not a career, but I'll call it a career because some people want to use YouTube as a career. How I do it, my brain is always ticking over. The wife thinks I've got some kind of ADHD or bipolar or some kind of ism or some kind of ick, because I'm always trying to think of something that's different for the next time. So I'm always thinking of stuff and trying to, I've got one coming out. Well, I'll tell you, because if you're not going to put this out until later on in the year, I've bought a battery pack. Right, it's it's just a battery pack. You charge it up, so when you've got a power cut, you've got enough there to like charge you to boil your kettle, charge your phones, charge your whatever. Yeah, and then I thought, well, hold on, I've got electric hob, so I'm screwed. So what I did then is I bought one of those little electric hobs. So if where we live now, out in the sticks, we've got a power cut, we're knackered. So I'm going to review one of those, and I just try to think of something different, something entertaining. I don't deny that my political stuff has not killed my channel, but it's certainly sent it in a different way. So yeah, but I do like to try and be positive, and I like to look for the future. I like to try and predict what I think will happen. So
yeah, because every December, this is something that I kind of took from you and a couple of other YouTubers. You do sort of prediction videos and you review the year, and I think it's important to have that just as a sort of, like, if you look at YouTube as like each year is like a book, like each sort of December everyone gets on and goes, right, I've had a bit of a shit year. Next year it's not a New Year's resolution, it's nothing to do with that, but it's just sort of seeing it out, and it gives you a bit of closure, and it gives you a bit of oomph to start again next year with a bit more of a kick. Do you think?
Me personally, no. I just do it because people like it. I did it one year. I thought that, I just, a bit like my Radio Times, Christmas Radio Times. I just did it once and people enjoyed it. So I'll be honest, a lot of my videos I do just lately, I do try to poke the bear. I do try to provoke a reaction, because I don't care. So, it's like this now. I've just noticed I'm drinking this, but you notice what the color. You notice what the colours are.
Yeah.
Reform.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't the first thing that came to my head. It was more Blue Van Man.
Oh, right.
I think you reviewed that a couple of episodes ago, didn't you? That beer.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. YouTube's a weird one, isn't it? Like, it feels like we're all like slaves to the algorithm, and I don't know. There's something that goes on in my head where I'm like, right, if I do a really shit video that's like what kids want, like Ben only ate red things for 24 hours, then it would be my best performing video. But I don't want to do it. So I'm just not going to do it. I refuse to like live my life as a hobby. I refuse to live it on sort of autopilot, where it's like I bought every UK chocolate from the supermarket and put them all together in one massive chocolate bar. Like, A, I don't have the fucking money. B, I'm just not that bothered about. There's too much stuff like that on YouTube. I don't really want to be party to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what winds me up. It's like I think I've done a burger at Kegworth Roadside Calf. I've done the McDonald's wrap, and I've done another burger.
Yeah,
and they are my three biggest videos just lately. And I've been talking about political stuff, which could potentially change people's lives.
Yeah,
with what's happening with this prick Starmer. But I must admit, my political videos are gaining traction, and they are growing in size of views. So I don't know. I think it's just having to get out there and do what you want to do.
So I don't have this written down, but this kind of parlays quite nicely into someone that we know mutually now, who you helped me with, which was Angry Bootneck Matt. Do you think there's value and a sense of genre with him just doing political stuff? Because he's not going to McDonald's, he's not going to Home Bargains, he's not sort of reviewing power tools. He's just 100% nailed in and dialed in to political content, and his channel has grown substantially since I had him on, and you had him on in person, didn't you?
Yeah, I had him in the hired a podcast out, and we did it there. The thing is with Matty is that when I set up YouTube, when I started Blue Van Man, I just wanted to arse about and have fun. The world, what in 2017 when I started this, the world wasn't as fucked up as it is now. You know, with whatever's happened in the last 4 or 5 years. So it was a fun place to be. I didn't have the pressures of people say to me, "Oh, Dave, you've changed. You changed." No, Dave hasn't changed. Yeah. Dave's always been like this. Dave just didn't put it on YouTube. Dave played the game. Dave played you all. Dave, you know, Dave did what he did to have a bit of fun. And then I got caught up with Brian and Elliot, and they kind of guided me into a direction that I didn't really feel comfortable with, but I felt I had a debt to pay towards Elliot because he helped me out, and I didn't want to screw Brian up. I didn't want to say bad things and damage him. So, but in the end, I got to the stage where I was like, I can't do this. I can't be. You've changed, mate, and I don't want to be changed. And then all of a sudden, I just thought, oh, fuck this. I'm going to be Dave.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's something that I've actually got written down, which this is going to sound like I'm like just over complimenting you and over sort of egging it a little bit. And nowadays the kids call this glazing, where you're just like constantly showering someone with compliments. But one thing that I've noticed with you from talking to you on WhatsApp and sending you voice notes and just communicating back and forth, and it's not just been me asking for favors all the time, is your commitment to your integrity is something that I find quite fascinating and quite inspiring. That you are 100% honest with everything that you review. And I think now YouTube is in this weird place where there are sponsored videos where you have to be nice or you'll get fucked, and there are reviews which can go both ways. It can be shit, it can be great, whereas there used to be this sense of like, oh well, he's just going to say all of it's good and everything's going to be positive and everything's going to be sort of tag the corporation below and let them know what you think.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate your honesty, and you are pretty straight down the middle, as is Scott from Scott Reviews Things as well.
Well, I don't think there's any point in being anything else, because you get found out eventually. And and then when you do get found out and you do say something, and then it comes back, and then people start having a go at you and they start trying to cancel you, or they start. What did I do? I did a video. Five Guys video. Don't know. Did I send it you? The Five Guys video they did. They took clips of all YouTubers.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And my voice was on that, and I think there were 2 parts of me, and they got hold of me and they went, "Dave, can we use clips of your video?" Now, before, when I was with Elliot, was looking after my stuff, he was saying, "No, they're worth a fortune. Blah blah blah. Don't do that. You don't give anything away." Yeah. And I thought, well, that's a bit harsh, really, because that means people might see my video, come over and see me, and then my channel would grow. Yeah. So what happened were they used my thing, and my voice was the last bit on it. Went, "Five Guys, you are the guys." So anyway, I'd done something. I'd said something on some video that excuse me, Camden's lager top's getting me. So anyway, I said something, and then I went on the Twitter, and somebody had tagged me in something onto Five Guys and went, "Why are you using this man? Blah blah blah." And I'm thinking, just fuck off. Yeah, you know what I mean? You start getting sponsorship, and you start doing that, and then people start controlling you. There's a girl that we watch called Dainty Diaries, right? She's an Irish girl, and she does home decor and all these fancy stuff. And anyway, she's got a sponsorship, and it's like you can see the change in the channel. Where me and June used to watch Dainty for just like, she'd go out on the piss, she'd have cheesy garlic chips, come home hammered, and she was a fun girl. Now, I'm not knocking Dainty because this is her job now, but you can see how sponsorship has gone in and changed that person. It's like when I did the transit van up, when I did the camper van. Yeah. 10-part series of a camper van, and if you use Sterling Insurance and all that kind of stuff, and it's like it changed me, and I don't want to be changed. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you're given something like a van or you're given, a black card, which is basically you get
Well,
sidemen
I was
sides,
I was given 30 grand, and they gave me
Yeah,
30
yeah.
grand. So it's
Yeah, you kind of have to sell your soul a little bit, I think.
well,
And yeah,
this is what the thing is with most YouTubers, right? And I'll tell you what, the YouTuber I've seen change the most is Brian. Yeah,
yeah,
because he doesn't seem
mm,
he's like he's a bit of a free spirit now. You know,
yeah,
he was doing a Trump video. I don't mean farting, lifting his arse and
yeah, yeah,
trumping,
yeah,
but he was doing a Trump video. He's done a few other videos, and it's brilliant. It's like raw.
yeah. It feels
That's
like
what I think.
the shackles have been removed from
Yeah,
him, and he's a lot leaner now with his
yeah,
production. And I
yeah,
don't really know if he's still doing his podcast anymore, which is the reason I sort of found out about him
yeah.
in the first place was the podcast doing like Dizzy Rascal and Ian Wright and Alan
Ricky
Shearer.
Gervais.
Yeah, yeah,
Ricky, yeah, you know what I mean. It's that it's when he first got hold of me, the Ricky Gervais one was one I watched because it's like
yeah,
I've got so much time for Ricky Gervais and
yeah,
everything like that. I think he's absolutely brilliant. So yeah,
yeah,
but you see, then you've got other YouTubers. You've got like people like I mean, this might get back, but Jack, mate, you can
yeah,
just see they're all shackled. You can't tell me lads out like that 24 hours a day. When lads are in a pub in the room or
yeah, yeah,
they're having a laugh, they say all kinds of things.
yeah,
So just be true to yourself more, I think.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. You
I know
know
what
what I
you
mean?
mean. There's definitely a sense of fabrication, especially with like Jack Mate's Happy Hour, which I absolutely adore, and I listen to most of them, even though I think Alfie Indra's a right little slug. Um,
Yeah.
but there's a sense of like now that we're on Spotify's
Who? Who?
payroll.
Who?
Yeah, right.
Who?
Yeah, yeah,
Alfie Indra.
yeah.
Oh.
Hopefully people get that reference. But I
Hey, have you
just
seen
get
me on have
yeah.
you
Go
seen
on.
me on Reddit?
No.
Apparently, Jack Mate's got a Reddit page,
All right.
and I'm on there quite a bit of people ripping me.
All right.
Yeah, so
God, you went on there like 3 or 4 years ago now, didn't you? Or maybe even longer.
probably something like
It's
that. Yeah,
mental that they're still talking about you, really.
I
Um,
think I'm a little bit of a catch
yeah,
kind of thing.
but
Talking
like,
point.
I just find that podcast specifically, every time I listen to it, there's about 4 minutes of adverts at the absolute start before anyone's even talked. Then there's this mid section where there's like 3 to 4 adverts. And then at the end of it, there's actually like a 5 minute dead space and it's just ads. So as soon as that starts playing, I've listened to something else. And it's like
Yeah,
this used to be happy hour. Now it's like happy 35 fucking minutes. And I do enjoy it and I do like the people on it, like Robbie Knox, I think he's quite funny. I like
yeah.
Jack and I've always watched
Robbie is
Jack.
good. Mm.
And I like Stevie White, even though he doesn't really do much else other than I think he streams on Twitch now and then and he's part of a streaming service called Guild or something like that. But yeah, just all the stuff around it feels very sort of cut, take two.
Yeah,
It just feels a bit sort of Hollywood, and it's just a bit
burning.
strange. Yeah, and it never used to be like that. It's kind of
Hey, I've got a
gone
theory on that
a bit
fire in
weird.
LA. If you ever want to hear it, if you
Yeah,
want to
go
hear
on.
that. What now?
Yeah, go on. Do it.
All right. Well, in Hawaii when they had that massive fire
Yeah,
before, when it
yeah.
was started with lasers,
Mm.
right? Well, have you ever seen a map above LA where they all live, and it's all shoeboxes, just shoeboxed in,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
know it's very dense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think conspiracy time, tinfoil hat and all that.
Yep, yep.
I think this has been done so that the people who are at the lower end of the millionaire tree,
Hmm.
yeah, who will get paid out and then will go somewhere else. And then all that land that's been burnt,
Yeah.
and it's no good, really, is it? I
No.
think the real estate people will come in and will say, right, well, we'll give you $1 million for your burnt piece of land. And they'll be going, well, all right, I may as well take it. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
what they'll do, they'll sell it to a big star who will buy that £1 million piece of land for 2 million, and they'll develop a big house on it, and they'll have a big house, they'll have a big garden, a big driveway, and they'll be able to separate the houses. So if there's fires again, they'll have proper water. So if there is a fire, I think, don't be surprised if you don't see in 2 or 3 years' time houses being rebuilt with more space around them.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, and I always get mixed responses when I say that out loud. But I think during COVID, using the C word, um, Joe Rogan kind of upped getting out of LA and he moved to Texas. And a
Right.
lot of comedians followed that and went to Texas as well. And then he started up his comedy club, The Mothership. And he was saying back in like 2019, 2020 that something like, I think he had Darren Brown on, and he said something like he spoke to a firefighter, and if the wind turned a certain angle whilst there was like a cigarette in a forest, then the whole of LA would just go.
Yeah.
It literally is that scary that like everyone is like, it's like when you go into a really big building and there's hundreds of thousands of people like watching a music concert or something, and there is one fire exit. That
Yeah.
doesn't make me feel good about myself, and it makes me not really enjoy the gig. And it doesn't really,
Mhm.
it's in the back of my head, just makes me feel uncomfortable. And LA feels like it was just so overpopulated and so
Oh, definitely.
oversaturated, and it
That's
was
why they've
just,
burnt it. That's why they've burnt it to the ground.
yeah.
Because have
So
you seen the video where there's these 3 fires starting all at once at the same time and everything?
yeah, it's scary.
So, yeah,
Mm.
there you go. So that's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. Hawaii lasers, I like that. Yeah, yeah. When was that? That was like 2 or 3 years ago now, wasn't it?
Probably 2 years ago, weren't it? When The Rock and
Yeah,
Oprah did that little charity thing, asking people for money, where you got like the richest bloody
yeah, yeah,
chat show host ever, and then you've got The Rock, who's worth about 800 million, asking people for money.
yeah. And he does films. I think his average payout for a film is something like $50 million per film.
Yeah, well, you can stuff
Mental.
it.
But yeah, right. Anyway, speaking of being super, super rich, can you remember the first time in your life that you were able to save a certain amount of money to get a deposit on a house here in the UK?
Right. I'm going to be honest with you because this is how I like to be. Right. My mum and dad split up,
Okay.
and my dad needed some money to put a deposit down on a house. I had no intention of buying a house at the age of 19. So what my dad wanted me to do was go and get some money, get a loan,
Yep.
and buy him out and give my mum some money. So that's what I did. I didn't actually get a deposit. I just went and got a mortgage back in 95? Can't even remember when I bought the damn place. So I haven't actually. I didn't. I was set. I actually had savings. I was when I said I weren't looking to buy a house. I wasn't looking to buy a house then.
Okay.
I was trying to save up money in the bank and do it that way. But it got thrust upon me. So what I did, I took some of the savings I'd got, and then I took a loan out, and that was it. So that's how I got a house.
Okay.
So that's screwed that question, isn't it?
No, not really. Like, can you think back a little bit? Can you think to how long that process took for you beginning to end
In what way?
in terms of getting the cash, getting a loan out and it getting approved, and then going to the
Weeks.
estate agents and then actually,
Weeks.
because yeah, okay. So like nowadays you have to, I don't know if this is the same, and I'm just going off of my own knowledge at this point, but you have to go to solicitors and estate agents and they have to do something called complete.
Yeah.
So when everything's complete, you get the keys to your house. But
Yeah.
until that moment where everything's complete, it is all a bit like,
Yeah.
can I move back in with my parents for a bit? And
Yeah.
shit's really turbulent. You
Well,
just
the
don't
thing
know
is,
where you are.
my dad weren't moved. My dad had already moved out. He'd already naffed off.
Yeah.
My mum weren't moving out, and I weren't moving out. So basically, we're just signing some papers that said, "Right, this is your house."
Okay.
But I know that June, when she did it with her ex, I know they had to save up, and they bought a house in Shepshed for because she was from another part and he was from another part, but the only house they could get for the price or the money that they could afford was inception, so they had to move away, and they basically started on the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah,
and that was the way it were. So I had a foot on the ladder, but it was more thrust upon me. I wasn't really ready for it.
So, from my perspective, I just about currently in the 13th of January 2025, I just about clear my bills, rent, car allowance, all that sort of stuff from the money that I earn through my job. And the reason that I wanted to speak to you about this is obviously, no offense, but you're from the older generation and you're on YouTube, and I'm not just getting my stepdad on the podcast. So I'm trying to think of what the actual fundamental reason is that I feel like I can't save money. And I think some of it is convenience. Some of it is complete enjoyment of choice and almost this unlimited sense of, like, McDonald's is a good example. I used to go to McDonald's once every 2 or 3 months with my dad, with my mum, when I was a little kid. Now, as an adult that earns my own money, I have the luxury of living in the UK where McDonald's are 24 hours. I can go breakfast, lunch, and dinner for McDonald's if I wanted to. Obviously, my stomach would fucking hate me. But I think sometimes it comes down to when you get paid monthly, you get paid a lump of cash, and that cash has to last you until the next payday. But a lot of income nowadays is 50% is gone immediately. Rent, bills, fuel, food. And I don't really know if that's ever been different for you, Dave, but it feels like back in the day, there was a little bit more disposable income flying around. And I don't know if that's the job skill, or we now get squeezed more, or there's more tax, or we buy now and pay later more. And I just want to sort of get your perspective on it, really.
Okay, well, in that case, right, now I've done a video called 30 grand in debt.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So I basically, my mum died, yeah, and I had a load of cash, but instead of me being wise with it and paying the mortgage off, or paying a big lump of the mortgage off, I went and bought a Ford Explorer, and I pissed all the money up the wall, yeah. And that's how I got into debt, because I used to hide the debt from the wife so she wouldn't, I was living on, like, you were doing the lottery, you're thinking, oh, come on, this is going to be the one, this is going to be the one, the lottery is going to be this one. So I have actually been in debt. Me and June, we lived on practically nothing. The only thing that didn't suffer was my daughter. I did so many hours overtime. I was doing 13 days a row of overtime. I was coming home on a Friday at 10 o'clock, finishing the shift. So I was getting home about 10:30. And then I was getting up at 5 to go back to work to do another 8 hours or 12 hours on a Saturday morning. And then I would do the same on a Sunday to get us out of the shit that I'd got us in.
Yeah. Okay.
And then what happens is you have to make a list, because I went to a company called the CCCS and they organised my debts, and every time I paid £300-500 in a month, they paid my people who I owed the money. And what the money we got left, we lived on. So although I had a hand on the foot on the ladder for the housing market, I basically fucked my family over by getting into debt. So I know how it is to struggle. The thing is, what you do need to know is, do you need that McDonald's? Do you need that Chinese? Do you need to go and watch Leicester play? Do you really need the whole full channels of Sky and Netflix? Do you need the latest mobile phone?
Yeah.
Do you really need that new MacBook? Do you need this and that? Do you need those new trainers? If you don't need them, you don't fucking spend the money and you put it to one side. Do you need the car? My very first car was a £200 Cortina. One of the best cars I ever had. Never went wrong or anything. Yeah, I can have a new car now, and I've got that Ranger, and I'm shitting myself if the wet belt goes on it, because that's about £8 grand. So what you have to do is right. I don't know whether I'm preaching or lecturing or what,
No,
but
it's fine.
if you want something bad enough, you will get it,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to go without and sacrifice. My missus, when she bought her house in Shepshed with the fella she was with, they had a twin tub washing machine. You know what a twin tub is?
Is that a washer and dryer, or is it
Yeah,
just a
but
bigger?
you lift the
Right.
lid up, and you've got a thing that you got one that washes it. You lift it over and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what they had. They had a basic portable TV.
Yeah. Okay.
They had, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People nowadays, they buy the house and they think, right, I want the brand new washing machine. I want a fucking tumble dryer. I want a dishwasher. I want the biggest screen TV. I want Netflix. I want it all.
And,
can't have it all until you've earned it.
And they want the new version of that.
Yeah, of course
rather than going to an upcycle or some sort of
charity
used,
shop.
Yeah, they don't want it to have a past life.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And everybody wants everything now. It's like all these kids nowadays. They all see people, these influencers, and all this kind of stuff. And they'll say, right, I want that, and I want that, and I want to be like them, and I want the Merc, and I want this. And you can't fucking have it.
Yeah.
You've got to go to work and earn it. And it tastes. When the day I paid my debt off, they sent me a little video. And they were all saying, you've done it, congratulations, da da da. And it tastes sweet.
Yeah, you've got to earn it, man. Like, it just feels cheap and dirty if you're like, I don't know. Obviously, we know someone mutually who we consider to have ill-gotten gains. We won't sensationalize them, and they now just pop on YouTube now and then and fuck off. And
who, that twat in Scotland?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, but like, I don't know. There's something about setting a goal, working hard and sacrifice,
definitely,
and then getting the thing that just makes it feel better if it was given to you. It just feels a bit like,
What's happened in my life now at the moment? It's like it don't seem right. Me living in a manor house. I don't know. It's just one of them things. But I'm not going to turn the fucker down.
No. Yeah, I don't think anyone would either, to be fair.
No.
I kind of just want a yes or no from this, really, because my circumstance at the moment is if me or my partner lose our jobs, we either have to go to parents or we have to take out a personal loan to be able to pay our expenses and outgoings. Do you think back in your day, if your wife or yourself got made redundant or you lost your job suddenly, that you could live off one income for your household compared to nowadays? Yeah.
Yes. That's why we only had one kid.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we didn't want, we thought, what if one dies? What if it becomes ill? What if one gets made redundant? What if what? What if what?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't do now. They go dip in the wick, having about 6 kids.
Yeah.
And they can't afford them.
Yeah.
And you've got to be prepared for the what if question.
Yeah, you got to have a rainy day fund, and you've got to save for the sort of the maybe and the future, and you got to build slowly.
One of the best things that happened to me was getting into debt, because I've learned to only buy stuff that you need and stuff. Live within your means.
Yeah, because one of my mum's
bit like
favorite
Manchester City.
Yeah. One of my mum's favorite sayings is, do not live a champagne lifestyle if you only have lemonade money.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize what that meant. And I kind of, my mum's got this weird sort of hindsight thing where it sometimes feels like she's sort of preaching, and then in like 10 years, it makes sense to me because, there's this age gap.
Yeah, it will. Good.
Right. So one of my friends that I used to work with has given me a blow-by-blow account of what they had to do to get a flat in the last sort of 5 years. He had to look on Rightmove, which is a flat slash house website. I think probably back in the day, to be fair, you had to just do a shitload of viewings and you
Yeah.
just had to sort of put your phone on loud and hope that it rang. Um, if you can't buy with cash, then you basically get put to the bottom of the list. Um, Once you get a flat or a conditional mortgage, this was a headache because my flat had 77 years on it. You have to then get a survey done on the property to see any flaws within the property. Not perfect as it's a surface level check on the property. This is him buying a flat as well. It's not just renting. I then had to contact my seller to say the mortgage company wouldn't loan me the full amount because they don't think it's worth the full value that's been projected. So then you get this back and forth thing between solicitors and estate agents and people that own the property and all this sort of stuff, and you just feel completely powerless for the entire thing. Once all the paperwork's done, you then get asked if you're a first-time buyer or if you're a continuation buyer. Then you get an exchange date, which could literally change at any moment. Then you pick up your keys and you move in. So when you own a flat, you then have to pay service charges. He owns the flat that he lives in, but he doesn't own the ground that the flat is on. So he then needs to pay for something called communal charges, which is something that I think the government's just made up to go, fuck you, we own you, basically. So he now pays this roughly £1,700 per year. Timescales, so from beginning to end of that process, it took about 3 months for him to find a property and actually be able to live in it. So yeah, it's just a lot. And I can see why a lot of people say like having a kid, buying a house, and having a wedding are like the three most stressful things that us in the West do. But
Mm.
some people are mental enough to like get married and move into a house within a month of each other. And it's all just a bit like obviously you want a nice house and there's a potential that you might only get one house in your lifetime. But it's just a lot of like just kind of accepting it and allowing it and hoping that things go in your favor. And sometimes you get stuck in this bidding war. And I don't know if you've experienced anything like this, where 1 minute you've got a house and it's a dead cert, and then all of a sudden it bottoms out and you're fucked and you know, what do you reckon?
Uh, well, well, for one, I'll be honest with you, I would never even touch a flat. I wouldn't even look at it. I would,
Yeah.
when you get your bit on the thing where it says what you're buying,
Yeah, you
detached,
filter it.
semi-detached, bungalow,
Yeah.
flat. I'd always hit flat. I don't want to know. There's no point because your neighbours might be a pricks above you. That
Yeah.
I couldn't be doing with it. I'd end up fighting with half of them.
Yeah.
You got nowhere to park your van. You got nowhere to park your truck. You got nowhere to park your 2 minis. You can't let your dog out for a piss or anything like that. So you're
Yeah.
knackered. So with all due respect to your mate, I won't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that where we bought our first house. Yeah, we went in and we just gave them the offering price. We just wanted it and that were it. So, but no, I've not really had any problems of a bidding war or anything. So, yeah.
What do you think about the current prices of houses? Because I sent you this graph a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if it's going to show very well on the podcast, where basically the price of a house in December, no, let's go back. So November 2024, um, it's gone from £298,000 to December, it actually dropped a little bit to 2006 to £269,000. But if you look at the graph, it's just this huge vertical ascension. And I imagine that this is like a lot of small things that have just added up to complete chaos, where it's like raw materials, the price of fuel for fleets. You've got lots of construction vehicles driving around these development properties and stuff. And I think some of it is greed and profit. And ethical dilemmas. But what do you think is the sort of reason that house prices just suddenly aggressively go up and then potentially they go on a downswing?
Well, I don't think the war or
Yeah,
the made up war in Ukraine that was forced upon us has helped. Materials have cost a fortune. The trouble is we've got is that we've got money men in charge. They don't care about us or anything. Uh, but you see, it's always this other thing as well about uh, Labour have come in and said, right, well, we're going to pay. You've got to pay people more. The national insurance is going up more. Well, where does that money come from?
yeah, okay.
A company doesn't just magic up money to pay national insurance and stuff. There's got to be a. So what they'll do is then they'll say, right, well, you've got more money in your pocket then, and it's like I don't honestly know how house prices go up because we've had houses around here and they can't sell.
Yeah.
It's at this moment in time with this government in charge, I don't know how house prices are going to go up. I can only see them coming down because I don't think people will be able to afford them. And when you are building places, a labourer is not going to go there. A skilled labourer, right? We've had a bloke come in and plaster. You cannot find a plasterer for love nor money. Apparently, they're all coming over in dinghies. But you cannot find a plasterer, a brickie, a chippy, a sparky, a plumber. You cannot find a good one who you can trust and rely on. And the ones that you do find are £250 a day at least.
Yeah.
So
and they're in demand as well. It's like
they are.
When I was like a little bit younger, it was like the recession, and some people I knew through my dad and through my stepdad were like, "Oh, my job's recession proof." And builders are always going to need to build, and like mechanics are always going to need to fix cars, and it doesn't matter what's going on in the world.
I look at it like that. Yeah, a car mechanic will always be a car mechanic. Now, in the 2008 crash, the stock market crash, I used to listen to Radio 5. I phoned Gordon Brown up one day, on Radio 5. Told him you're a fucking idiot.
Love that.
Fucking cyclops. And
nice.
Yeah, and I forgot what I was going to say. What was I saying?
Something about the news.
Yeah,
Phone them up.
what was it? Yeah, I phoned him up, didn't I? And no, it was something else. I've completely lost it. But I don't know. Go to the next question.
That's all right.
I can't remember what I was saying.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I will try and put a graph up on the screen if my editors.
Yeah,
the
houses and that are going up. You've got people that are trying to make money. You can't get a proper builder. You can't get a proper sparker.
Yeah, that was it.
All these people that are just going on about, oh, I need an education. I'm going to university to learn how to fucking make a drum, or I'm going to university to study sociology and bollocks. Go get a job, learn how to be a brickie, a sparker, a plumber. You will make loads of money. You'll absolutely rake it in.
I think from my perspective, I went to college and did media studies. And a lot of my friends did electricians and mechanic and plumbers. And I kind of, this is going to sound really mad, but I kind of I thought that I was better than that. It's a dirty job.
The government told you that's what was going to happen. When did you go to college? What year? Tony Blair years?
2014. Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, that would be the Cameron years then, wouldn't it? But you were told to go to uni, told to go to college, do this, do that.
I was literally told.
Yeah,
I was literally told.
Polish people
in my media studies, one of our lecturers had a divine intervention with us and said, look, I know that this is fun to teach and it's fun to learn how to do films and documentaries and all that shit. But unless you all leave Weymouth and fuck off to London and become a runner, all of this stuff I'm telling you is bullshit.
A runner for Philip Schofield.
Yeah, so you like literally you might as well just leave this course now if you
Yeah,
really, really want to work in media and you just need to get good at remembering people's Starbucks orders. And I thought, fuck me, that's a bit scathing because we were
yeah,
about 6 months in at that point. And
yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. I do see now the value in sort of learning a trade, and to an extent, I have learned a trade, which is computers, which obviously aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But getting wet and dirty and potentially electrocuting yourself, and it was kind of seen as a sort of someone
Mm.
else will do that. I don't need to do that. Like someone else can switch. And this kind of leads into what we were talking about earlier with, was it something crazy like a percentage of people don't know how to change a light bulb nowadays?
Yeah, yeah. So they said, weren't it? It was a survey from Halfords, weren't it? I was
Yeah,
listening to it on Talk Radio, and it was like, you know, well, the thing is, last night, right, a bulb went in Gingy's bedroom,
yeah,
yeah, in my daughter's bedroom, and she was like, "Oh, it went bang, and I don't know what to do, and all that. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to get electrocuted. I'm safe." And like, shut the fuck up, Gingy. It's a light bulb. Like,
yeah,
it blew the switch downstairs. So you put the light bulb in, put the switch back up, and it's everybody's happy.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it just amazes me.
I think as well now we live in this culture of like planned obsolescence where like we get these lovely flat screen TVs and we get these lovely cars, but if one part goes in these machines now, we have to buy a new TV and a new car and a new phone. Like
Yeah,
I used to love the fact that my phone had a battery in it that I could take out and
yeah,
swap. Whereas now,
yeah,
if my phone battery dies, my phone dies and I've got to go buy a new one. And
yeah,
that's all good if you've saved £20 a month or whatever to do that. But a lot of people don't even think about stuff like that. And then they end up getting like buy now, pay later, pay nothing for the
yeah.
first
Buy a
six
contract that
months.
ties you. Yeah, you get a
Yeah,
contract that ties you in for
yeah.
5 years.
Buy
Just
a
fucking stupid.
buy a pram
And
that
then
costs
people wonder why
900
they don't have
quid.
any money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, it comes down to sort of brass tacks where it's like, do you need the latest and greatest, or do you just need enough to do you like do you have the option to be a bit more frugal with these things? Do you need the TV to be the size of your window?
well,
You
that's
know,
it, isn't it? That's another thing, isn't it? It's just like trying to get rid of that line out the back of my head. There you go.
there you go, sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, it's people just wasting money as such as well. That I think it's just you know.
yeah. Right, yeah. So let us know what you think down below. Let us know if we just sound like the two guys from the Muppets at this point, just moaning about everything. But I am genuinely curious to see who's sort of in my situation where I'm, you know, 35 years old. And Dave's obviously been there, done that, and struggled and got the t-shirt. And usually his t-shirt says "Just Stop Oil" on
Yeah,
it.
that it's
There
not
you go.
just use
Just
oil.
use oil.
Yeah,
Yep,
you're
that's
right.
it. But yeah, let us know what you think because I'm quite interested by this. And I think something that I want to try and do a little bit more this year is a bit more debates because I quite like the
Yeah, but
polarization of the things.
I think the thing about buying a house is like I've just said, people are too busy. They want the big house. They want everything. They're not prepared to start at the bottom of the ladder. Just to get on a ladder is an amazing achievement. And then what you do is you buy a house and then you do it up. You buy something that you might have to sleep in,
Yeah,
like one room with a toilet, and then you paint it, you decorate it, you plaster it, you put new windows in, you add value to the house, you sell it, you move on. That's what people should be looking at doing, flipping a house and keep going. And I know people who have done that and they've actually turned it into a business,
yeah,
where, Chris, Black Chris, not
yeah,
Chris the Butcher,
yeah, yeah,
right? That's what Chris used to do. And that's how he made a lot of his money by buying a house, doing it up, living in it while it was being done so he didn't get hit on capital gains and stuff like that. And
yeah.
then sold it, made a massive profit and did it again and then again. And,
I think as well that takes a certain individual because, like I just said about 15 minutes ago, getting a house is quite stressful. So
Oh, definite.
you have to be able to sort of thrive off of that stress of, right, we've just bought an absolute shithole. We need to fix it up, and we then need to be able to find some buyers, and then we get a bit of profit out of doing that, of, the hard work, and then we do it again. Whereas most people buy one house or two houses in their entire lifetime. Your mate Chris is like perpetually doing it for a specific reason. And yeah, there's always this analogy as well of like builders live in shitholes and
Yeah, they do.
mechanics always drive around with their engine light on because they literally do
Yeah,
not have time to sort their self out. They're just
yeah.
constantly servicing everyone else all the time. But yeah. Okay, cool. Right. Well, yeah, like I said, let us know what you think down below. Silly question time, because we are starting to sort of wind down a little bit on this. Would you fight Rate My Takeaway Danny in a boxing match? Hashtag
No,
rate hashtag rate my van 2025.
no. Don't. I
Just no.
don't. I don't. I don't fall for none of that
Yeah.
stuff. Um, Danny's a big lad. I'm a big lad. We're in no fit state to do anything. I'm not into that
Yeah.
boxing. Trying no, just no.
Yeah. So
I think Jack Mate asked him that question, didn't he? Who would win in a fight between
yeah,
me
I
and
think
Great
that was
Taker? And I think
probably
Jack, yeah.
yeah.
I think Jack said me, and I think which Stevie you said Great
Not sure.
Taker.
I'll have to check that because I feel that that was quite an old episode now. But I
Hmm.
will check that. Yeah, I think this boxing thing seems to have died down a bit on YouTube. But
It's all fake anyway.
yeah,
It's all
it's ebbs and flows. But if you did say yes to that, what would your intro music be when you enter the ring? Because I know you're
I
into
don't
your
know.
wrestling to a certain extent.
I don't know.
I think
I don't know, mate. You've done there.
there could be a Right Folks and then like a sort
Yeah,
of remix of Stone
yeah.
Cold.
Or yeah, or you could just like, fuck knows. I don't know. Something by In Excess, because like In Excess
Oh
are
yeah.
my favourite bands. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Suicide Blonde, Slaphead Blonde.
Yeah. And Danny's would be that Pizza Hut song, that fast food rockers thing, wouldn't it? Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah,
Fucking hell.
yeah.
Good stuff. Um, okay. So this one's a bit out there, but it's another silly question. If you heard a certain word within 20 miles of you, you die. What word do you think would be the best word in the English dictionary for that to be? So you want something that's not like commonly used, like the word and, but you also want something that's like not too far off the edge of the cliff. Like the longest word in the English language is something like anti-disestablishmentarianism. But obviously, if there's a conversation about the longest word, then people will say the word, and I think the repercussions of this
That's,
is you'll burst into flames if you
that's
hit
a
the
little bit
word.
like that episode. Whoever's thought of this, it's that episode out, the young ones, isn't it?
Yeah,
The little midget bloke comes up,
yeah, yeah,
watch you or something.
yeah.
I don't know, mate. I ain't got a clue what it.
I don't know what
Because you
mine would
live
be
around.
either. Yeah,
No, well, where we live, we're like slap bang in the Midlands of, and it's you get so many people that visit the Midlands who use different words and stuff. It's a bit hard to say. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know a word that's not really used a lot.
Mm. That's the secret, isn't it? Because you don't want something that's like on the off chance that someone comes into town and starts using the word all the time. But I thought
Yeah,
that was a good question. I might
definitely.
keep
I
using
don't
that.
know, mate. I can't honestly. You see, these questions you're asking me, I tried to give honest answers, and I can't give you one.
It's all right. One that you probably will know the answer to is what is going on with your podcasts? Because you've got two of them.
Well, obviously, I'm not doing the one with Uncle Steve anymore because he's dead.
Yeah.
And the one with Chris, we were going to do one before Christmas, but Chris went away on holiday for Christmas.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get the day he was supposed to come to do the podcast. And now it turns out Chris is looking to move away. So
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I'm going to have to try and sit down and think about something. And because I do want to do podcasts, but
Yeah.
it's just one of them things. So
Yeah, because you've been telling me that you've like got a potential sort of in-house studio, and you've been trying to sort of sequentially do it up, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is what I call Manor Studios, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just one of them things. I've got to. You got to find the person who you connect with.
I agree.
To make it bounce back off each other, and me and Chris do have a good rapport. I mean, we've known, I haven't just pulled this black guy out I've known Chris since I was working at Canon and at Fresh Pack Eggs in Loughborough. I've known him since the late 80s, early 90s. So, people think, oh, I can remember when I first had him on because I had Chris and Adi on.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, you've just got two black guys. And like, oh, shut up, idiots.
People are so crazy. The idea that that's what you did to sort of play the equality and diversity card is mad.
Yeah, we made all our history up. So yeah.
Yeah, it's all bollocks. They're just two people off the street. Oh dear. Ben Bolks has asked a question.
They fucking would.
Would you actually drink a shot of Carol Vorderman's tears if they were in front of you?
Yeah, because that's when I went to the McDonald's, weren't it?
Yeah.
It's probably full of plastic and Botox. They're not real tears. It's just like and stuff that's been injected into her to make her look.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I've never seen a woman who I find so unsexy than her, because people say like, oh, don't she look great? No, she fucking don't. She don't look. She looks as fake as a Labour politician. So no, I don't. No.
Did you get some backlash from, was it Carol Vorderman or Jeremy Vine, that you got like an anti shout out? Yeah.
I did something, and I put Jeremy Vine in it, and he actually tweeted me, and he did actually say something along the lines of, he did find me quite funny. So I actually replied back to him, and I said something along the lines of, wow, I weren't expecting that. And but I think, I'm not sure, he was like trying to invite me onto his TV show. And I thought, I'd have gone for it. And if he'd have asked me a question, I'd have just said, and, if how I'm controversial and stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd have said something like, oh, well, why shouldn't immigrants be allowed here? And I'd said, because we don't know anything about them, and the fighting age men who won't even fight for their own country, but they'll probably fight over here. And I'd have said, and you can't try and tie me up in knots with questions when I don't care about what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go and say something stupid about stringing them from a lamppost like Mussolini or something.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I've honestly gone past the stage of caring of things that happen here. You have to be careful what you say, don't you? Because if Keir Starmer's listening, he might call me far right and stuff. So
yeah. That seems to be the new thing now, doesn't it? Everyone just attacks you based on what position you hold or whatever people think.
What is far right anyway?
What
is far right? What is it?
I don't even know. Like, I think it just means you're clinically insane. Like, you've literally got no tolerance for anything other than what you are personally, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know personally. I think I'm quite centrist, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, right. Have you got any questions for me? Anything you want?
I've got one. You said you work with that trans person.
Hayley.
Yeah. Why do they like me? I mean, don't say I've said they. Why do they like me? What I don't understand
I think people just like the unfilteredness, authenticness that is you, and there's not a lot of people on YouTube like you that have the following and subscriber count. And I think you're a bit of an anomaly. And the frequency that you upload is almost like you're sort of saying, I'm still here, I'm still, and it's not from
Yeah,
a attention perspective, but it's like if you subscribe and put the bell on to BVM, you're going to get notified probably once every 3 days. And I think people either love you or hate you, don't they? I think.
yeah,
And the people
yeah.
that do enjoy you seem to be with you for the whole journey.
Mm.
So I
I
don't
mean, I'm not.
really know, to be completely honest, but
I mean, I'm not.
yeah,
I know I come across anti-trans and all that, but what I don't get is that. I mean, it's the old cliche. I've got gay friends. I've got gay black. I've got gay. Oh,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got a gay black friend.
yeah.
But they don't keep banging on about it. They don't keep telling me about it. They just be themselves. And if you're a trans person
Mm.
and you're in the change or the transition, or forgive me for not
Yeah,
knowing
yeah,
the technical terms, then fair play to you. And if you want to do it, do it.
yeah,
Yeah. But I just don't understand the need for this. Oh, we're going to have a parade through Loughborough the other day. Why? Why do you need a parade? This is 2025 now, and I think it's more accepted than ever of gays and lesbians and bi and all that. And I think if people just stopped forcing it on you
yeah.
and stop putting it into schools, I think people would accept it a damn sight more. You don't need to have all this because it winds me up over the trans thing where, say, somebody like Barclays or another bank, and they go, "Oh, we're supporting LGBT month and all that
Yeah, and
Pride
there's
month,"
a
and then
rainbow
you
heart.
go,
Yeah,
"Yeah," and then you say, "Yeah, all right, fair play," and then what you do is you support it that much, but you've got a bank in Dubai.
yeah. Yeah,
So whose side are you on, really?
we support the idea of this, but we don't
Yeah,
actually bleed it like we
yeah.
preach, and
I
it's
mean,
virtue signaling, isn't it?
if that person wants to trans, whoever you're working with, yeah, if they want to trans, fair play, and I wish them all the best in their lives, and I hope they find what the end that they want at the end of the journey and all that.
Yeah,
But there's too many hypocritical companies, too many virtue signaling knobheads who just think of the dollar, and a lot of these LGBTQ plus events
yeah,
can't see that. Do you
yeah.
follow James Dreyfus on Twitter?
No, to be honest, mate, I've come off Twitter a little bit because I find it's like this horrible cesspit of
Oh, I love it.
just so like argumentative and
Yeah.
just
I had three of them
sewage.
going at me. I had three of them going at me the other day, and I'm still standing.
Yeah,
So, so that's it. Yeah, but
yeah.
no, if I'd follow James Dreyfus on Twitter because he's a
Okay,
very, very intelligent man,
okay. I'll give him a shout. I'll
and
give
he
him a
does
follow.
actually get back to you as well. If you send him messages, DMs, he has actually got back to me a couple of times, and I've had chats with him.
Okay. Yeah, it's always good to get some communication and feedback.
Mm.
Otherwise, you just follow people on Twitter and they don't even know who you are and they don't
Yeah,
acknowledge you, you know. Okay, so last two questions, and I'm going to leave you to it.
yeah,
Are
mate.
you are you feeling optimistic about the future of the UK and working class people in this current circumstance being
No,
the second week in
no.
January?
I think we're all fucked. I think
Fair.
we've got Rachel from accounts. She's completely clueless. We've got David Lammy, who don't even know what country he is. You've got Miliband, who's just like some kind of evil Bond villain. You've got Rachel. I've said Rachel. You've got Claire, Angela Rayner. She's just a ginger growler who just hasn't got a clue, who likes to sing and likes to dance and likes to get drunk. A woman who left school with more kids than qualifications. And then you've got that prick in charge, Starmer.
Yeah.
I'm not very optimistic at all. And now it seems like they're going to stop the local elections. It's just a complete joke.
Yeah, it feels like
Roll on Elon Musk.
everything's kind of in this state of flux. at the moment, and a lot of us find out about this after it's happened.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew. I think I told you when we used to chat before the election, didn't I?
You said
I
something
knew this was
about
coming.
watch what you say online because they'll fucking find you and, smash your
Before
front door down and yeah,
I knew before the election that this was going to happen. The state of this country was going. It's like he's just every day there is something that he has screwed up at, and this Sadiq woman thing from Bangladesh is going to. Have you seen that list of 50 Labour MPs and councillors who have been done for kiddie fiddling?
no,
It's
but
absolutely unbelievable. No
I'm not
wonder they're covering it
surprised.
up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's what politicians are good at, isn't it? Is they're good at
It is.
deflecting and they're good at covering stuff up. But yeah. Okay, last question, and have a think about this one. We've got about 8 minutes left before this Zoom meeting's gonna disappear. But do you think you'll ever get to a point, Dave, where you quit YouTube? And do you think that you'll make a big hoo-ha about it? Or do you think you'll drop a video and be like, this is my final video. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Because there's a lot of
Uh,
people, like the Scottish twat, that say they're leaving YouTube and then 3 months later post a little thing on their community notes about the McRib coming back. And then they're back on YouTube and then they deactivate their account. And how do you think that would look for you in terms of bye-bye?
I don't think the wife would absolutely love me to pull the plug on YouTube. She
Yeah.
would love it because YouTube's very invasive. It's very toxic. There's a lot of fake fucks out there,
Yeah.
and but if you'd noticed, June hardly has anything to do with YouTube now. She hates the damn thing. She doesn't want me to pack it in, but to be honest, this channel was never meant to get 150,000 subs. It was never meant to get 5,000. It
Yeah.
was just me arsing around. Will I pull the plug on it? I doubt it because I like to keep coming back and doing stuff. So no, I don't think I'll pull the plug on it. I
Yeah.
think I'll one day the people will say, "Where's Dave? Why isn't he uploaded?" And Dave will be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. And obviously, with this being your main channel, you now have a side channel, which I think in your head from our chats on WhatsApp and stuff, you probably want that to be your main channel, but you've got is it called English Countryside Days?
Yeah, it's just me arsing around in the country. I mean, the weather's beat me at the moment because I can't do anything because of the weather. I've still been doing other stuff here, but it's just going to be me messing around. That's all it is. I've got a few. I want to go to a few antique fairs. I've got. I'm going to go to a milking parlour, a milking dairy soon when the weather changes, and other stuff like that. It's just. It's going to be more relaxed. There's no swearing on there. I
Yeah,
think I've
yeah,
said bum. I think I've said bum or something on
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But it's just me enjoying myself really in the country, and that's all it's going to be. So I would like to
yeah,
make it monetized because I think when you start actually monetizing a channel, it means you've achieved a little something.
completely.
But I don't want it to be
A
Blue Van
machine.
Man size. Yeah, I don't want it to be none of this. I just want
Yeah,
it
yeah,
to be me, and that's it. So
yeah. Okay, fair enough. So we're going to see a slightly calmer Dave over on that. And you're just
yeah, I mean,
doing
I think I've got
rural
about
stuff. Yeah,
20. Yeah, I think I've got about 20 videos on there now, or such and such like
yeah,
that. It's just yeah, that's all it is. It's just a lighter side of me. It's still the same me. I'm still honest. But I'm more inquisitive about what's happening in the country. So
yeah. Fair enough. And you've recently killed the shorts game with your wheelbarrow video, which I had no idea had as many views as it did. I
how many's
was
it got now?
don't even know. Let's have a look. It was something crazy, but it's like a 47-second video, isn't it?
I know. It's the last time I looked, it had earned me 400 quid.
Fucking hell. A minute's work. Blue Van Man wheelbarrow. Let's have a look. 321,000 views.
That's just ridiculous. You see, this is exactly what I say.
So that's double your subscriber count in
Yeah.
views.
But you see, if you do a small video like that, it goes on repeat, don't it?
Yeah.
So you know when you've watched it and you go and tell somebody about it, and then then they leave it as it's on replay, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
very good. I'm very pleased about that. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mental. Like, I didn't really I didn't know what I was gonna watch, but yeah, it did. I felt like it was going to be like a joke video or something, like a prank video, or you just like launching a wheelbarrow into a skip. Like,
No,
but yeah, I actually learned something.
We used to do it before. I've done it before, and like I thought I'll give it a go, and I'm just trying to find it now, see what it's, see how much I've earned. But
Yeah,
sort by
I think
most viewed.
That's how it goes on YouTube sometimes, though, isn't it? You just drop
Yeah.
something and it catches fire, and you're not
Well,
responsible for it. Yeah.
Yeah. My book fast, that's had 368,000. And my wheelbarrow's had 321,000. It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
It's mental.
It is.
The least effort you put into stuff, the more it seems to come back at you sometimes. It's a weird formula.
It is. It's just I just don't get it. Let's see how much it's earned. Revenue. £418 that's earned me.
Fair. Yeah.
The world's gone mad.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. But there we go. The world has gone mad. It's been mad since about 2020, I think, but probably before that. But yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. You got any parting words? Any words of advice, or are we going to leave that to another video for another day?
We'll leave that down to another day. You can only say, don't let the bastards grind you down, can't you? And that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you coming back on. And yeah, all good. All right. Well, thanks for watching, viewing, subscribing, and telling your cat and all that sort of stuff, people. If you want to subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video. But yeah, check out Dave's channel. Probably check out the English Countryside Days one more than the BVM one, but it's up to you what you do. It's your life. But yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.